You know, the ground beneath our feet feels solid, but it's constantly moving, hiding some of nature's most powerful secrets. For centuries, we've been trying to figure out its most violent outbursts, earthquakes. Well, now we have a new tool, a new way of listening to the planet. Let's dive into how artificial intelligence is completely revolutionizing the science of seismology.
So this is the big question, isn't it? The one that's kept scientists up at night for generations. It is such a complex puzzle, and when you think about it, entire cities, millions of lives are hanging in the balance. For decades, the answer has always been a pretty firm no. But now, with AI in the picture, that answer, well, it's starting to get a little more interesting.
And look, this isn't just some dramatic statement. As Sergey Fomel from UT Austin puts it, this is the ultimate challenge. People have literally called it an impossible problem. And that's exactly the kind of thing AI is great at, finding tiny, hidden patterns inside of absolute chaos.
Okay, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to get into why earthquakes are just so dang hard to predict. Then we'll see how AI is basically becoming a superpowered analyst, listening to the planet's faintest whispers. We'll also look at how it's helping in that critical race against the shaking. And finally, we'll get into this wild, futuristic idea of turning our entire planet into one giant sensor.
So what makes this whole prediction thing so tough? Well, in a word, chaos. Unlike a hurricane that you can see building for days, there is no reliable warning sign for a massive earthquake. The Earth's crust is this incredibly complex, stressed-out system, and all that energy can just snap in an instant.
But let's be really clear about something. AI is not a crystal ball. It's not one single magic algorithm that's going to tell us the big one hits Tuesday at 2 p.m. Instead, you should think of it as a powerful new toolkit that lets us see and hear the planet in ways we never could before, sifting through mountains of data to find clues that have been invisible to us until now.
So where does AI make its first big splash? Well, it's at the most fundamental level, just listening. Every single tremor sends out this flood of data. And it turns out AI is a superhuman analyst, capable of hearing things we've been missing for decades.
It all starts with something called phase picking. Okay, think of an earthquake like a 1-2 punch. First, you get the P wave. That's the fast initial jolt. Right behind it is the S wave, which is slower but way more destructive. Nailing the exact arrival time of both of those waves is absolutely critical for everything else. Locating the quake, measuring its power, you name it.
And this right here is where the AI revolution kicks in. For years, this was a job for human experts, staring at squiggly lines all day. It was slow and, honestly, kind of subjective. Especially those tricky S-waves. They're really hard to spot. But now, we've got AI models like PhaseNet. It was trained on over 7 million examples, and it can pick out those waves with incredible speed and accuracy. It gives us a much clearer picture of what's happening down there.
And PhaseNet is really just the start. You've got QuakeFlow, which went back and found 1,500 tiny microquakes in Santorini that humans had completely missed. Another AI is building detailed 3D maps of the Earth's crust 10 to 20 times faster than before. And get this, scientists are even using speech recognition AI, the same kind of tech in your phone, to listen for the faint rumble of hidden quakes buried in the planet's background noise. How cool is that?
Okay, so AI is a master analyst. We get it. But can it actually help us when the clock is ticking and the ground starts to move? The answer is a huge yes. But it's not about predicting the quake itself. It's about winning the race against the shaking.
7 to 13 seconds. Now, that might not sound like a lot of time, but during an earthquake, that is an eternity. It's enough time to drop, cover, and hold on. It's enough time for a surgeon to pull back a scalpel or for a high-speed train to hit the brakes. That's the warning an AI called Deep Shake provided during a major California earthquake. So what's Deep Shake's secret weapon? It just cuts out the middleman. See, traditional systems have all these steps. They have to detect the quake, find the epicenter, calculate the magnitude, then send a warning. Deep Shake takes a shortcut. It listens to those very first P waves and immediately predicts how intense the shaking is going to be where you are. It's just a faster, smarter, more direct path to a warning that can save lives.
It really all comes down to what seismologist Margarita Sagu says: a second is an eternity in an earthquake. Every single fraction of a second matters. And now, thanks to AI, we're starting to buy ourselves more of those precious seconds.
So we've got a better analyst and a faster alarm system. That's amazing. But what about the Holy Grail? What about forecasting an earthquake before it even happens? Well, a really fascinating experiment in China just gave us a glimpse of what might be possible. 70%. In a real-world 7-month-long forecasting competition, an AI model provided weekly predictions of where earthquakes were most likely to happen. And it was right 70% of the time. That is a huge deal.
But, and this is a really important but, let's look at the reality here. The AI did correctly predict 14 earthquakes. That's incredible. But it also completely missed one, and it gave 8 false alarms. So while 70% is a massive leap forward, it also shows us that we're not quite ready to start issuing public earthquake predictions just yet. The stakes are just too high.
All right, now for what I think is the most mind-bending part of this whole story. What if we could turn our entire planet into a single giant earthquake sensor? This is the final and maybe the most revolutionary piece of the AI puzzle.
For as long as we've been studying earthquakes, this has been our view, a sparse network of expensive, dedicated seismographs. But now, we're realizing the sensors were all around us the whole time, hidden in plain sight, thanks to something we all use every single day, the internet.
Yeah, it turns out the massive fiber optic cables crisscrossing the ocean floor for our emails and videos are also incredibly sensitive to tiny movements in the Earth's crust. Google figured out they can detect quakes from thousands of kilometers away just by monitoring the light inside them. And it doesn't stop there. These same cables can feel changes in ocean pressure, which could create a brand new tsunami warning system. Add to that the millions of smartphones in our pockets, each with a tiny motion sensor, and you've suddenly got a global crowdsourced earthquake detection network. It's brilliant.
You see, this is so much more than just an upgrade. It's a total paradigm shift. AI isn't just helping us answer old questions, it's letting us ask entirely new ones. It's a super analyst, a faster alarm, a better forecaster, and a creative new sensor all wrapped into one. We are truly living through a revolution in how we understand our own planet.
So where does that leave us? We started with the impossible problem of earthquakes, but what we found is the technology that can listen to the very heartbeat of our planet. And it makes you wonder, if AI can do this, what other secrets is the Earth waiting to tell us? And with AI as our interpreter, what other impossible problems are we now on the verge of solving? One thing's for sure, the ground is shifting, and it's not just because of an earthquake.